Alright pilots, welcome back to the channel, and tonight we're going to go into the Su-25 FrogFoot weapons. All the goody air-to-ground weapons that we're going to be deploying in our original A-model FrogFoot here. So let's jump inside and let's go through our key bindings first. So we did our flying key binds in the first video. Let's go into our next set of key binds for deploying and using our weapons. We'll start off with our normal Flaming Cliffs 3 setup of we need our navigation mode, our longitudinal missile aiming mode, which is going to be for our heat seekers, our gun sight reticle, you don't really need to have this one, and air to ground mode. And I say you don't really need the gun sight reticle because when you turn the cannon on in the FrogFoot, it's going to show a inertial cursor in your HUD that's going to be your actual gun sight cursor. You're not going to be doing a lot of dog fighting, so I do have the gun sight reticle bound, but to be honest, I've never used it a single time. Alright, next we're going to get lock and unlock, which will be in your sensors. I also have, under the weapons page, lower and raise the ASP-17 glass. So the ASP-17 glass is your small curved HUD that you have in this, and you can use this switch to move it up and down because depending on what weapon you're deploying and the angle of your attack, that cursor is going to show really low or really high, so you might have to change your glass by moving it just a little bit. So I truly recommend to bind this and the lock unlock, and I have that on the same four-way, so up and down for lock and unlock, and then left and right for raising and lowering my glass. Let's see, we already have our trim hat. Now we got our weapon change, so this cycles weapons. So if you go to air to ground mode and you hit the weapon change, it's going to cycle between weapons that you have equipped, and you just have to know what the weapons are. Now there's going to be, we'll just bring them to HUD so we can say it right now while it's fresh on the mind. Down here is your weapons panel right here. So you can see it's got all the pylons, and it'll be just like the T model, that they'll all be yellow if they have a weapon on them, and green will be the selected. Or it might be the other way around. It might be green and then yellow for selected, but it's one or the other. The top is if you have a weapon there, and the bottom, if it's lit up, means the weapon is selected. So we'll get to see that when we go up in the air. But we need the weapon select button. We need a button for cannon. So this is a Russian aircraft, so there's just one trigger. There's no weapons release button. There's no pickle button. It's all just done off the trigger. So you fire whatever you have selected. So no matter what mode you're in, air to air or air to ground, if you hit the cannon button, the HUD cursor is going to change to a gun inertial sight, and the trigger will just fire the gun. All right, next, we're going to go to our countermeasures page. So, like anything else, until you know the difference between chaff and flare, just give you one button, call it the oh shit button. You hit that, it's going to release one flare and one chaff. So if you spam it 5 times, it releases 5 flares and 5 chaff. You can also bind, like on my countermeasure switch, which is a 4-way with a push button. The push button is my countermeasure release, and then I have right for flares and left for chaff. And chaff is for radar missiles, and flares are for IR heat-seeking missiles. So if you know the difference, you can save some of your chaff and flare. But for the most part, if I'm not sure what's shooting at me, I just hit my oh crap button and release one of each. All right, next binding is going to be a laser designator on-off. So this will be really important because you don't have a TV, you don't have like a targeting pod, but you do have a laser designator, and that's how you range things in the FrogFoot, and it's also how you fire your laser-guided large ATGMs. So you'll definitely want a laser designator. And also, if you're just going to shoot rockets or something else, you still use the laser designator because that gives your cursor for where your shots should go a better accuracy because it laser ranges the ground, so it indefinitely knows exactly how far away from the ground it is. So that's very important to have that laser. You're going to use it with everything. Of course, you still have your air brakes. You don't really need to worry about the waypoints. You still have your drag chute. New one is going to be ECM. You'll want to have a thing for if you're going to equip an ECM pod on here. You want to be able to turn it on and off. And that's pretty much it for weapons. It's pretty simple aircraft. Let's go into the loadout now, and let's see our first loadout to deploy tonight. We're going to do 2 different battle situations, maybe even 3. Actually, yeah, it will be 3 because we're also going to do a little bit of air-to-air just to show you the heat seekers and how they work, and the fact that the heaters in this aircraft are very poor. You can only have 2 of them. They're not very good. They're old R60 aphids, so they're easily flared off their rear aspect, and they don't track very well. But you can defend yourself with them, and they do, they can work. All right, let's bring up the deployment. So on our outer pylons, the only thing we could put is smoke or these aphids. So R60M is the best aphid you can get. So just throw it out there. You don't get any 410 ECM pods like the T model. We don't have as much defense as the T model because we don't have that sensor suite in this jet. This jet's way more bare bones and analog than that. All right, let's go start with the middle pylons. These are your most sturdy pylons. They're these ones right here, right next to the fuselage. And you can put your heaviest stuff on here. So we're going to put our Kedge 29Ls. These are 657 kilogram warhead laser guided ATGMs. They're very large, so 657 kilograms is not 657 pounds. They're kilograms, so you're looking at closer to like 1,300 pounds of warhead. So these are very large. So we're going to equip those. These are laser guided, and you can pop bunkers with them. You can pop very large structures, tanks, anything you hit with one of these basically is going to get it blown up. And also there's going to be a lot of splash damage because it is a very large explosion. All right, next let's do some bombs. We're going to use the betas, the concrete busters with booster. So these are interesting. These are what you're going to drop on top of like an underground command center because they penetrate. So this would be like the equivalent of a penetrator JDAM. And you notice how these say 500 kilogram, and the other bombs say like Fab 500. Again, this is kilograms, so that's a 1,000-pound bomb, not a 500. It's just because it's under kilograms that can throw you off a little bit. So these are 1,000-pound concrete busters. So these are 1,000-pound bunker busters, basically. Next, let's do some S-25 rockets. We've used those on the T. They're very good. We've also used them on the flankers. These are very good rockets. Let's equip a couple of those just so you can see them fired from here. They work the exact same, though. You get the cursor on the target, turn on your laser designator to make sure they're super accurate, and when the light turns yellow, you're in range. Wherever you shoot is roughly where the rocket's going to hit. And last but least, let's put just 2 regular Fab 500s, and we're going to drop those CCIP. So we're going to dive bomb the Fab 500s, and these bunker busters, we're going to do like a dive toss, like a CCRP style dive toss. It's actually more of just straight up CCRP, but it's a little bit different when you set it up. So we'll go through that in the air. So this will be our first loadout. Let's get up in the air and let's shoot these and drop these. And then after that, we're going to go up with just a rocket loadout, which is the quintessential iconic loadout for the FrogFoot. And then we'll go up and we'll see if we can shoot some air-to-air missiles and see if we can get a hit. The likelihood that we get a hit is pretty low, but we'll give it a shot. All right, pilots, I'll see you in the sky in just a moment. All right, pilots, here we are. We're up in the air. You can see our loadout here. Those are those big Kedges. There's our booster. You can see the booster on the back of it. Our S-25s and our Fab 500 bombs. Alright, let's unpause this thing, and again, here you can see the green lights are showing that there is ordnance on all these pylons. I'm going to slide my glass down a little bit. You can see there's nothing on the glass because we have no weapons selected. So I'm going to hit down on my DMS, which is going to bring up my air-to-ground mode. You can see that cursor that just showed up, and we have the outermost pylons selected because the very farther ones are the heaters. So that's going to be our Fab 500s, and you can see the cursor is really low because this is a CCIP style bomb. We're going to go ahead and hit weapon select now, and that's going to cycle over to our S-25s. That's not even going to show up because we have to be angled towards the ground to even see the cursor for a unguided rocket. Hit it again, and this should be the concrete boosters. Again, it's right in the middle basically because that'll be something that we're going to aim down to get our target. Except with those, we're going to CCRP them, so once we have our target, we're going to hold onto the trigger and fly to the drop location. And let's go ahead and, let's keep the glass down now. We're going to hit our laser-guided big old Kedges, those gigantic ones right there. And now the cursor's way up at the top, so we'll move our glass up like that. You want to be able to move the glass pretty easily, because depending on the angle, like if I rolled over right now, I definitely want to have my glass up higher. Alright, so the first thing we're going to shoot, let's see. Let's shoot our two little S-25s first, yeah? So there's our Fab 500s, there's our S-25s. We're going to be attacking a base up here. Let's get a good snapshot of this base. It's the same base we've used before. And there you go, we've got some men, we've got some tanks, we've got a radar, we've got a big old comm tower, we've got an outpost, and we've got an underground command center, some towers, trucks. We've even got some Toyotas with big old machine guns mounted in the back of them. So we got some technicals. This will be our attack. Our first shot, we're going to throw some S-25s down here. They're fragmentation S-25s, so this should help damage these towers, these trucks, these men. Just really create some chaos. We're then going to come back around and we're going to drop our dive bombs onto this comm tower and knock it out. Then we're going to hit this big area right here where these tanks are with our laser guided gigantic ATGMs. We'll finish off our run by trying to get our bunker busters on top of this underground command center, but this is going to take two passes because we only drop one at a time. Alright, unpause. Our S-25s are selected. So we are going to fly to the target. Just so you know where we are, let's zoom out of our AWACS map here, our intelligence map. And you can see we're a little ways away. We're flying directly towards it, offset to the side just a little bit. That way we can look out the side here to get a good bead on the target area. Also, the RWR, while we're flying, let's just do this RWR really quick. So, this little line around the side, the outside of the circle is the radar strength. These down here is showing what it is. If this is lit up, it's an air-to-air target. If this one's lit up, it's a long-range SAM, medium SAM, short rad, or short-range SAM. And then you got AWACSs and boats. This is going to be the general direction of the signals. So this is the one that's pinging us right now. But it also senses some more over here and here, but this is the one it's actually giving you information on, and the strength of it is this strong. So it's pretty far away. It's not that strong, but that's the information we have right here. And this is higher or lower than us. For the most part, unless it's a huge deviation, the high-low is probably just going to stay lit. Usually you're only going to get a high-low if it's a jet, so you know if it's much higher than you or much lower than you. And also, this red symbol you don't see lit up right now, if that starts lighting up, that means you have a missile fired at you. Or at least the RWR thinks there is a missile fired at you. So if you see that thing lit up red, you know something's coming at you, and you know the direction it's coming from roughly. So like I said, the RWR looks really primitive, but it actually gives you pretty much all the information you necessarily really need. So there's a quick rundown of the RWR in these Russian planes. It's the same RWR that's in the flankers, the FrogFoots. It's very nice, especially when you consider if you've ever seen the RWR radar warning receiver in the Hind or in the MiG-21 fish bed. You'll really be happy that you have this one that gives you all this information. The other one that came before this is about the size of a quarter, and it just has 4 lights. And they just blink when something's coming from that quadrant of that area. And that's all the information you know. You just know there's something out there in this direction somewhere that might be bad. Alright, we need to find... Oh, there it is right there. We can see the tower sticking up right there. So let's roll in. We're going to give it 2 S-25 rockets to the front of the bunker there, the base. We're doing 500 knots. We're doing pretty good. And you can get up to 800... Or I'm sorry, not knots. Kilometers an hour. If we were doing 500 knots, that'd be crazy. So kilograms are bigger than pounds, and the kilometers an hour are smaller than knots. So it can be confusing until you get used to it. Alright, so we're going to turn our laser on. You can tell because there's a green light on, and now we've got this thick band on our Ranger, so we know that the laser is on. Adjust the glass a little bit. There we go. That's about where we want them. We're waiting for the yellow light to turn on, then we're going to pickle off both of them. There we go. 1 and 2. Boom, boom. Alright, now we're going to pull off. Do some pre-flaring just in case there's a shore rad down there. You never know when there's someone with a stinger down there. Look at that. We got all those infantry. Alright, so now we're going to go our Fab 500s. And we're going to take out that comm tower immediately. So with the Fab 500s, double check, we do have the outer pylon selected. You can also see that because those rockets are gone now, then the green line above that pylon is dormant now. So most of the Russian stuff, once you understand what it is, it's really easy to tell what's going on because the information is just right there in your face. The weapon selection system on the Russian planes is really nice. It's very visual. You get into an A-10A model and it can be confusing if you're not looking at the HUD for that information. If you're looking at the weapon selector, it kind of sucks a little bit. Alright, we are on active pause here just for a second before we roll in and drop these Fab 500s on that building. So I wanted to show you, just so you have some information on the cursor as well. Your cursor, your range. If you turn on the laser, you get the green light. This is your in range, like your launch authority light. Also, when the laser does have contact with the ground, you can see a thicker bar on your range. And also this little arrow right here. We're going to unpause, and I'm going to show you that arrow because that's showing you your heading. So if you're side slipping a little bit, you're angling off, that arrow is going to be going left or right to show you that. So let's unpause. So you see we start rolling left and you see the arrow. So when you're diving down in, you can keep an eye on the arrow, or if you're doing a CCRP and you're about where you were when you set your mark, you can try to make sure you stay as straight as possible by using that arrow. Alright, there is our building. We're almost ready to roll around and drop on top of it. We're heavy on the throttle right now because I'm kind of trying to get a little bit of altitude. The higher you are up when you start your dive bomb, the more time you have to line it up. But also, you have to be careful if you're coming in from the higher you are, the more speed you're gonna create as you're falling. So you got to be really careful. So here we go. We're gonna start rolling over. There's our building. So I'm going to try to bring the nose right up to our target area to make it nice and easy. You want to be lined up and pull to the target. So we got the targets roughly on the center of the glass, close to it. Now we're going to line up straight. We're going to roll to it. Laser is on. We're completely idle. Drop. I only dropped one. Look at that. Solid hit. That building is now destroyed, and we still have one bomb to go. So on default, I just dropped the one bomb. You can, to go into a more advanced control, we can go into the controls, we can go into our weapons panel, and then you can set up, let's see, there we got N and V, so salvo, ripple, interval. Where is my ripple quantity? Spacebar, there it is. Okay, so spacebar, N and V. So we could go down here. Let's pause this. So this is the setup. You hit spacebar and that's going to change the amount. That's that dial right there. So there's 1, 2, all. So there's 1, 2, and then all as 4 and all as everything. Or you can hit V. And then there is N to change the ripple interval. So that is the timing. So if you want to drop 4 bombs, right? Or let's say we just have 1 on each pylon. So we'd come down here and we hit spacebar till it says 2. So if we were dropping those bombs, we could have said 2, and then when I pulled the trigger, it would have dropped both of those Fab 500s. And then if we want to ripple them, we'd hit N and say, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and that's going to be the distance, the amount of time between the drops. So it would go drop, drop, and not just both of them at the exact same time. If you want to drop them both at the exact same time, you would just make it up there at salvo. So that's how you would use the weapon setup selector. But in just the default, you select the bomb, you pull the trigger once, it drops a bomb. So now we are out of balance, so you can see if I let off the stick, see how much stick I'm pushing to the left. If I let out of the stick, we're going to start rolling to the right, right? And that's because of all this extra weight we got. See that 1,000-pound bomb is still on that wing, and on this side there's nothing. So that makes it a little bit harder to fly. You get used to it after a little while. You can use your trim hat if you want to trim it out. Depending on what I'm doing, I'll usually not trim it out if I'm coming back around to drop the other bomb right away, because then you'll just have to trim it back the other way. So it just depends on how long you're going to be flying around with an off-balanced loadout. If I'm going to hold on to that next bomb until I find another target, I'm going to be in the targeting pod for a while and doing other stuff, I'll trim out the plane. Alright, here we go. This time we're going to kind of just line up close to it, and we're just going to start killing the throttle when we get here above it. Because we're so out of balance, I don't want to roll into it too hard, so I'm just going idle on the throttle, and I'm going to slowly bring the nose down. You can't drop your nose really fast because that's a negative G. Alright, laser is on. And we're just going to try to get this bomb close to that white, those three little white square buildings there, or 4 little white square buildings, and drop. Now we're slowly pulling back. We're not yanking the stick. We're going to start adding a little bit of throttle. And we're flaring and chaffing out of the way. And boom, there you go. You see the smoke? It's right there where we wanted it to be. Turn the laser off. Alright, we're making good time. We're blowing stuff up. What do we got left here? We've got our bunker busters and our big old kedges. So let's do some laser guided kedges, huh? So now we know the cursor is way up front now because it's ready for laser guided. Now the cool thing when we do this is when we roll around and get the cursor on the target area, we're going to turn the laser on. When we turn the laser on, the cursor is going to unlock. Okay? Because it is now going wherever the laser is pointed. So when we're moving the cursor around, that's moving the laser around. And then that's where the lock and unlock button is going to come into play. When we hit up on our switch to lock, the cursor will stick right there and the laser will be on right there. So we want to get the cursor right on our target and then lock it. When we fire our missile, it's going to ride the laser right down to that exact target. And it's super fun. A lot of times when I go out in the regular frog like this, I will put just there's a smaller 300, or I think it might actually be 320 laser guided ATGM, which is still pretty big, but it's half the size of these gigantic kedges. And I'll just take a bunch of those and just go out and pop targets with the laser. It's really fun. It's very addictive. It's very immersive to use the laser and the HUD like that to pick off targets. It's super fun. But I'll usually take 2 of the big ones, then some of the smaller ones, and go around and pop outposts or whatever's needed. It just depends on what I'm doing is what I'll equip. So here we go. We're rolling in now. The laser is now on. So now you can see I can use my TDC slew. So we're looking at maybe, there's that radar right there, right? Lock. Okay, so I hit the lock button and now it's locked. And 1 kedge away. Big explosion, by the way. Boom. That radar is no more. We unlock. Turn the laser off, and that's going to reset the cursor. We've got 1 more kedge left. And you notice the green light told us the laser was on. We moved our cursor around. We got it right on the radar, and then we hit the lock. And then this light turned on when we were in range. These large kedges have a decent range. So we'll fire this next one at the underground bunker, and we'll try to lock it from pretty far away. We'll see how much. We can get a decent amount of range in them. It's not infinite range, but it is. It's not Maverick range, but it's still pretty far. You're not going to fire it from, 7.9 miles away like you would a Maverick in an A-10, but when it comes to Russian guided stuff, this is a pretty long shot. Let's get some more distance. And the explosion you get off of these kedges is actually quite large. That one looked a little bit smaller than normal. I'm not sure why. I don't think if it's because it hit the radar directly, maybe. I'm not sure, but we'll put this one into that underground command center. Should be a pretty decent explosion. If there's other stuff around, it's a large enough explosion that if there's troops around, they're not going to have a good day. Alright, come off the throttle a little bit. Alright, there's our spot. Laser is on. So there is that underground command center. That looks like it's roughly it. I'm going to unlock though and get a little bit better. There we go. That's a good looking one. We're in range right there, so here we go. And now I'm going to go completely off the throttle because I need to slow down. We can't overshoot the target. We need to keep the target. I'm not sure if it's going to get there because it's going to lose its laser lock now. I fired it from too far away. Actually, it wasn't that I was too far away. I'll tell you what the problem was, is I was going so fast. So we can see that that sucker is going up into space because it lost its laser. And that can happen. Alright, last weapon we've got. These are the bunker busters. Alright, so this is a different one. This one works quite a bit different. Turn the laser off. It's blinking because it's hoping the kedge is going to catch it. You can see that kedge is straight up in the air right above the bunker. Which would be kind of funny if it fell straight right back down onto it. It's not though. I suppose there's a possibility if I turn around really quick I could get the lock right back on the target and turn the laser on, but we're not going to mess with it. We're going to get our distance and we're going to come around to drop our bombs. Every missile shot's not going to be a good one. I screwed that one up coming in way hot and fired it from pretty far away. Alright, there is our point. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to angle our nose down to get the cursor on our target. And then we're going to hold down the trigger. And then we're going to pull back up to fly level, and we're going to try to use our arrow to fly straight. And we're just going to hold down the trigger. And then you'll see that range bar next to the cursor start shrinking. And when it gets all the way to the bottom, or all the way to the top, I should say, and disappears, it's going to drop the bunker buster. And then we'll pause it and watch the bunker buster go in. It's going to come in on a parachute, and then the booster is going to turn on and boost it down into the ground. Alright, so let's get lined up nice and flat as good as we can. Sorry, words are hard. Alright. So that's pretty straight, pretty level. As soon as I get that cursor right on him. Whoop. Alright, I'm holding... Whoop, nope, turn the laser on. There we go. So now, I'm just going to do my best to fly level and try to keep that arrow. It's not easy to do this. Oh, I think it's going to miss, but let's see. Let's see. Oh, that looks better than I thought. Oh, really close. Really close. Really close. We got one more. We'll try that again. It is really not easy to drop bombs like this in this that kind of way with the CCRP with these bunker busters. Mainly because when you're setting that target, the cursor, when you're holding down your trigger on the cursor where it is, because of how far you're away when you start it and the angle you're at, it can be hard. Like where that bomb hit is probably right where I pulled the trigger. But it was really hard to tell that that's right where it was, because it looked like it was on top of the command center to me from this angle and this altitude. But now you know how it works. We've still got one left though. We're going to try to use it and see if we can drop that sucker right on top of the command center to show you that that 1,000-pound concrete piercer is quite a good explosive, and it can shack out one of these underground command centers if you hit it. I do believe you can also DT them. Well, that would be when you go into a dive bomb and you hold the trigger down on the the bunker, and then you start pulling up on the stick, and it'll release the bomb at the correct angle to get the shack. Alright, is that our base? That looks like it. Try this again. Got a little bit more of an angle this time. We're a little bit higher up. That's just fine. Got it. This feels a lot better. All right. Let's hope. Oh, it's long. It's way long. I made a boo-boo. Well, it's worth a shot. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to spawn a new FrogFoot. We're going to put nothing. I'll just show you what we're going to put on it. Oh, well, I guess I can't. We're just going to fill up the wings with rocket pods. I'll show them to you. They're going to be the 32 count heat frag rockets. And we'll strike this point, except it'll be a brand new version of it, and we'll just hit it with all those rockets. So I'll see you folks in a bit. Alright, pilots, and we're back, and we've got nothing but rockets. So I went ahead and used the 20 count pods with 80 mil rockets. So you can see all those pods. That's 160 rockets. Alright, we're going to fly back to that base. It's all brand new now, and we're going to just lace it with rockets because it's fun, it's cool, and it's going to make a nice little shot at the end when I do some cinematic cuts of all this stuff. And I'm also going to engage a plane with our heaters so we can see these aphids. So I do have, because the outer pylon can only take one thing, and that's the R60 aphid. So we took one of those on each wing. We'll see if we can shoot down a plane with them. They might not. I don't know. I don't keep filming until it works. You know what I'm saying? So if I miss a laser guided missile, it's because I missed a laser guided missile. It's going to be in the video. So there you go. There's our bandit right there. 013, 21 miles away, 7,000 feet. So what are we at now? Yep, we're at 1,700 meters. So we're probably about the same height, or maybe a little lower or higher. But first, we're going to do our rocket. So first, we're going to go air-to-ground mode, and you can see we have all those weapons selected now, right? Because we have all the same weapon. No switching between pylons this time. Also, if we go to air mode, you can see it automatically selects our aphids, and then it gives us that cursor right there, so then we can go ahead and raise the glass up, and then you'll just try to get that cursor on the enemy and wait for your shooting cues, just like you would for everything else. We'll go to that when we get to it. So we're back to air to ground. Lower the glass. There's the base. Let's have some fun with some rockets. We'll just get lined up. That should be close enough. Alright, we're just going to start going idle on the throttle. Laser on. As soon as we get the orange light, we're just going to hold down that trigger and we're going to move that cursor around the area and just lace it all with rockets. There we go. Can't beat that. Laser off. Now that was some destruction. At the end of the video, we will show a nice cinematic of that going off. Ooh, look at the secondaries too. Alright, we need to find our bogey now. So we're going to go to air mode. Aphids are selected. We do have our air-to-air cursor. There we go. 034. So we're going to look at our HSI here. And our ADI. We're slipping below the horizon a little bit. So we're going to go up some. And we are now at 0. Alright, now let's just fly forward for a little bit. We're 12 miles away from where he was. So I don't know if we can see him yet. Let's go ahead and build up a little bit of speed. We're doing 600 and say 20 kilometers an hour, which is moving. And we're going to keep our eyes peeled. See if we can find this guy out here. We also could look at the AWACS map, because we do have him spotted. So he will be on the he is scouted. He'll be on the AWACS map. All right, 028, 7,000 feet. So we're going to come around to 028. That's a fresh bra call. 6 miles. He's pretty close. Hopefully we can see him. There he is right there. Look at that. Alright, so he is flying parallel to us. He's in the notch. We're using an aphid, so we need to shoot him in the butt. That's a different target. We're not worried about him. Alright, let's get back on the throttle here. Now we should be close to behind him. There we go, look at that. Now we're behind him. So we flew up to the elbow. So now, instead of turning with him right now, we're going to kind of go straight for a little bit. And he's not going to know we're here because we're not using any kind of radar equipment or anything. We just have a heater. So unless he visually sees us, which is possible, he's not going to know what's going on. Alright, we're about at the elbow, so now we're going to bring it down. See if we can get a shooting solution. We're pretty close. We should get it. There you go. You hear the tone? There you go. And Fox 2. Kaboom! Look at that. Direct hit. Hey, we actually got him with an aphid. So don't expect that to happen. I imagine if that guy would have known it's coming and just popped off like 3 or 4 flares, that aphid would have went right for the flares. I tried to get close enough that didn't happen, and it didn't look like he knew I was coming, which is perfect. So he would have not known that missile's coming. Heater missiles do not give out radar signatures, so the RWRs do not know anything is going on. So that was a perfect engagement for an aphid. And those were some really fun rockets. I believe that's probably pretty it. We can get more in-depth and use every single weapon, but you've got the gist of it. You know how to drop CCRP now. You know how to drop CCIP. You know how to use rockets. You know how to use laser. Always use the laser, by the way, even if you don't have to use the laser. Always turn it on when you're going to shoot, because it gives you, your cursor will be more accurate on its placement. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you're learning something, or at least that's giving you some starting knowledge, you know, kind of kickstart you in there so you're not going in completely blind. You know how to take off and land now. You know how to equip some stuff on here and how to use it. Start making your own maps to practice. Get into a multiplayer server, or maybe go to Burning Skies and just start flying around and learning a thing and get better. I would love to see you all in the skies. Come by and join a stream sometime. I stream almost every single night. And I'd love to see you there. Everybody, take it easy.